I'm Beth Carpenter, and I'm a traditional naturopath here in Austin, Texas. And my company is Healthy Help for You. And I always have the great pleasure of hosting some wonderful healers that come into Austin. And I have with me today Peter Mans, who is from Germany and does what's called divine alignment and straightening. So, Peter, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth, for having me here.
Absolutely. So we have divine alignment and straightening going on this weekend. Can you tell us what that's about?
Well, divine alignment and straightening, it's actually about resolving some entanglements in the family system by honoring the ancestry. That's the alignment part. And then we have a straightening part, which is more about our individual soul. So when we kind of look at our soul, it may have gotten through various types and times of being, and during these types and times of being, it has collected information, basically data, and some of that data is up to this point not of any use for us anymore. So we do kind of a clearing, which leads to a physical effect. Although it's a clearing of the soul, it leads to a physical effect that straightens the spine, levels the shoulders, levels the hips, and actually also equalizes a functional variable difference in leg length.
Okay, so it does affect the skeletal structure, but it sounds like that's just a teensy tiny portion. That's the visible part that people see.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
And actually, I always tell people that's more of a side effect because it's much more important for the spirit and the soul than it is for the physical body. And it is also about becoming aware that we do have a origin in a creator source, and that this creator source is distributing its love throughout our families and through the various souls to us. And sometimes due to these entanglements that we create with our mind, it's just that we feel kind of disconnected from that love.
Okay. And so how did you get started in this?
Well, I got started in divine straightening actually due to issues my wife had. And she was experiencing some serious back pain for years. And then I saw a show on TV in Germany that was in 2004, and I saw this gentleman, a Russian gentleman, his name is Piotr Kunovich, who did the divine straightening. And I was so intrigued by it, and I called my wife, and she said, well, do you think he could help me with my back? And I did some research to find the address of this man, and we went over there, and about a month later, and were witnessing, and later on, of course, also experiencing on ourselves the power of this divine straightening. And at that time, I was already like a Reiki level 2 practitioner, and I was just about to get my Reiki master and teacher certificate, and that was like kind of a precondition to get involved in his program.
Okay. To have the Reiki master?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. But then you changed it from divine straightening to add alignment. How did that come into play?
Well, at the same time, I was in a program to become a NLP master trainer. And along with that, we did a lot of systemic constellation work. That's what it is called. And the type of systemic constellation work that we were doing goes back to Bert Hellinger, who is a German that kind of is the initiator of this. So we were always doing systemic constellation work, and one day it just struck me that the two have to come together. I just did not know how I could bring them together, because from what I was experiencing at that moment, I couldn't really see how to make it match, but I just knew there would be a way, and that the two things would have to come together. So after a while, kind of experimenting various ways, I found that some of this systemic work can be done through a meditation.
Okay.
And so that's
Yes.
what you had experienced
Yes.
before, because we all carry our family system as an image in our head,
Right.
in our soul. So I addressed certain basic things through that meditation, and I found out that these two parts, the alignment part, aligning with your ancestry, with your blood lineage, and by this aligning with the Creator's source, and also the straightening, aligning your own soul with the Creator's source, complemented each other in a way that the effects, whatever they were for the individual, were tremendous.
I know that when my husband and I went to see you in San Antonio, you had began, as you said, pre-setting things, because the meditation is actually prior to the actual healing or setting the pulse for the healing to take place. And I got to witness within myself what happened, and for me it was also fun to witness within my husband what happened, because I felt like he finally landed. It was like he was behind his eyes. And because I've had the privilege of hosting you before, I've got to see that in people's eyes, where it's like they're behind their eyes. Something allows them to feel more comfortable in their body. Have you found this consistently? I know I saw it consistently. But
Yes,
have you seen
absolutely.
It too?
I've found it consistently because they're touched in the core of their hearts. And you see, our personality is like a mask. Actually, the word personality comes from the word persona, which is an old Greek word and described the mask in the old ancient Greek theater. So the personality is what we put up front and what shall protect us. But when we do not open up, no one will see the true I, who I am. And people will only act upon what they see at the surface, which is the personality.
That's true. So you spoke about the I am, and yes, I'm familiar with the I am and the I am presence, but I'd like for you to speak about that, because you have your cards that is the I am presence. And so will you share how you use that in the divine alignment and straightening?
Yes. The I am is like the divine core within us, and it's who we really are.
It helps us connect. It
It
is our
helps us.
connection.
It is our
with
connection,
source.
and
Yeah.
you see, it's nothing that we refer to on the outside. It's something inside, because what we conceive as an outside world is actually a reflection of our inside world. And Hermes Trismegistus, one of his principles is, as it is inside, so it is outside.
Yes.
As it is in the microcosm, so it is in the macrocosm.
Yes.
So these are just fundamental truths, and we don't really have to prove them, because we know in our hearts what truth is. So this I am presence helps us, if we connect with it, to truly heal.
Exactly. To me, it's like having a clear connection. Like you see all the cell phone commercials. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And by connecting to the I am presence, that allows for that clear connection. And that is through the consciousness of Christ that we reach our higher self.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. Well, awesome. So what I'd like to know is a little bit more about the constellation, because you talk about it in Divine Alignment and Straightening, but can you help our viewers to understand a little bit more about that?
Well, you see, just imagine someone gets born into a family, and it may be the first child. And then another child gets born. And now this other child claims the first rank. But the first rank belongs to the first child because in the order of time, that child came first.
Okay.
So it's like God says, okay, this is your playroom on planet Earth. This playroom will nourish you throughout your life. It has all the toys that you need to play with and that help you to grow, and not only in a physical sense, but also in the sense of your awareness and consciousness. And this is your room. So it provides everything you need. It helps you to live up to your life's task.
And
so now
everything is supplied with
everything is
right.
supplied within that room.
But if you get bumped from your room,
Yes.
then you don't have the supply. Like what you were saying is, I was firstborn, but my brother was technically fourth conceived because there was a miscarriage between second and him, but because he was a male child, he was immediately moved to the first position, and I was ousted.
Yes, and in that case, you have the fourth child because the order goes by conception. It goes not by birth.
Okay.
It goes by conception. And every single individual that was going to be part of this family has to be honored at the place it was actually put.
Got it. Okay.
Okay? So when we leave our room, when we leave our place and take someone else's room, we are kind of being in that other energy, which is not our energy. So this causes not only confusion in our soul, it causes tremendous confusion in the family soul.
Okay.
Because the family soul has to find a way to balance itself again.
Okay.
So that's when I talk about entanglements. This is what I refer to. It's someone leaves his or her room and steps into someone else's room. Okay? So when you look at it, the order has to be maintained in order for the core love, the divine love, to flow through the system.
Got it.
But when we entangle, we feel separated because that love not truly reaches us in a way. It's like a kink in the hose. I mean, most of the people, many people have a garden and they have a faucet outside and they connect the hose to it because they want to water their plants. So when there is an entanglement in the hose and you pull on it, it kind of shuts the water off from flowing and there's nothing coming out. So this is what we do in family constellation work. We kind of untangle these entanglements. However, we cannot do everything at once. It's like a process that may take years, but we have to start at one point. So the client who comes and wants to take a look on his inside picture in the outside, that is going to help him to understand how the energies within his family system flow and what he can do to be at peace and take his position in that system.
So just through that awareness of that, it actually helps a person to upgrade because they're able to see clearly and release a component of whatever that file or chaos
Absolutely.
that existed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And when I come back to what I've said before, we step back into our own rooms. And by doing this, our soul truly begins to develop in the direction it is supposed to be.
That makes sense. It does to me. So, and I hope it makes more sense to everybody else too, so that they'll explore that. So, doing the divine alignment and straightening is awesome, and adding in the systemic constellation work actually helps for more clearing to take
Absolutely.
place, whether you're a participant or a client.
Yes.
So, explain that, because I know there's the client and there's a participant.
Okay. The client has an issue that he wants to address. The participant is like someone who does not want to address an issue at this moment, maybe later on, then this participant becomes a client. But this participant is there, first of all, to learn also what
Okay.
constellation work is about,
Okay.
but also to take place in a play that is performed on, let's say, kind of a stage,
All right.
yes, for the client to see what the entanglements in his system are about.
Okay.
So the client actually picks out of the audience, out of the participant audience, he picks, with the agreement of the participant, someone out that shall represent one of the client's actual family members.
Okay.
So and he's going, the client places that person in the room somewhere that he feels, truly feels, that this person shall be. So by, for instance, putting a representative up for a brother or a sister, putting a representative up for or representatives up for the parents,
Okay.
maybe even the grandparents, or uncles and aunts. And depending on the distance, they are standing apart from each other, but also depending on which direction they are looking and whether they're looking straight or looking down, we can see the dynamics in that family system. It tells you a lot about the relationship of these various individual family members.
Okay.
So actually you can see the entanglements.
Okay.
And then, as a facilitator, I or someone who does this modality starts to give impulses into that system, very subtle and very respectfully, to help that system to untangle itself.
Okay. And these are energy impulses, like healing impulses.
Yes, the representatives, which is very astonishing for many people, especially for the representatives themselves. They are kind of making a download from that family soul.
Okay.
And by doing this, they start feeling like that family member and also acting like that family member that they're representing.
Oh, interesting.
And by resolving that pattern, that initial pattern, you also do an upload to that family soul. So actually what you resolve in that kind of a theater
That acting,
setting,
yes.
you also resolve in the family soul. And sometimes
awesome.
sometimes the effects are right there. And although the actual family members, except for the client, him, herself, did not know about it, they feel the effects and they start acting in
Yes.
different ways.
You were telling me about a woman that you helped just recently, and there was an estrangement between she and one of her daughters. And will you share what happened after this occurred?
Well, after this occurred, it was not the daughter she was estranged with that called her, that made a comment about how wonderful all of a sudden things were.
Okay.
It was the younger sister of her.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure that she will feel within an undefined time
Okay.
that her estranged daughter will also
So
kind of adjust
one
to
of
that.
her daughters immediately felt the energy,
Absolutely.
and it'll pass through
Yes,
the siblings
yes,
based on
yes.
their ranking.
Yes.
And
I've had clients where the issue was addressed. My sister and I don't talk to each other anymore. We haven't talked to each other in 20 years.
okay.
The client went back home, and the very next day, the sister she had not been in touch with for 20 years or 25 years called her.
Oh, wow.
And they had a wonderful talk,
Mhm.
and they're seeing each other on a regular basis now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So and these are not just coincidences,
Right.
because this is phenomenological work, and phenomenological work is about honoring what is,
Yes.
truly honoring what is. We are not having a kind of a scientific approach here. It's just we look at what is and we honor it. And that's basically it. And by experience, we can say, okay, these are the effects that this work can have.
Right.
And since this kind of work has been done in Germany for like over 25 years now, and in Europe in general, it's kind of well known, and even companies use systemic work to solve some issues that they have. We can kind of say, okay, when it is this type of entanglement, the effects it has for the family or for certain individuals in the family are very likely to be this or that. But this is not set in stone.
Right.
You know, it's like, let's say you have lived 70 years on a lake and all you've seen was white swans.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay.
your idea is, okay, there are only white swans until you see a black one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nothing is set in stone. We can only say, okay, this is very likely to be the case then.
So honoring what is, like Byron Katie, she uses loving what is.
Yes.
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 Yes. Well, just honoring is a type of love. It has to do with love. You cannot
has a respect with it.
cannot honor without love. But
Exactly.
honoring in this sense actually means you look at what has happened.
Mhm.
May it have been good, may it have been bad. That's a judgment the individual makes.
Okay.
Okay? Because if you look at what is, it's neither good nor bad. It's just what it is.
Mhm.
But the honoring part helps you to deal with what has hurt you and what has hurt others. So pain that has happened without a good cause, or taking it to a higher level where it can serve something positive, that's multifold pain. It kind of increases. But when we talk about honoring, I say, okay, I see my pain, I see your pain, I see what you have suffered from, and I see what I have suffered from. And by honoring this, I'm saying it shall not have been for nothing. At least it shall serve a good purpose.
Got it. Okay.
Whatever that may be,
Mhm.
that's up to the individual to decide.
Cleaning up the negative energy or the chaotic energy is real important on our planet right now. And so where we begin really is within ourselves. So helping each person to heal and set a healing pulse within them is extremely crucial at this time.
Of course, because
Yeah, it
every
is.
individual is the world.
Yes, it is. Peter, I know we have a volunteer that you're going to be doing the divine straightening on. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we go into taking her measurements and actually doing that part?
To my sensing, everything has been said.
Very good. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and take a pause here and get the massage table up and then introduce Christina.